Reminders of Him stars Maika Monroe and Tyreek Withers, and it tells the tale of a young woman who gets out of prison and attempts to reconnect with her young daughter, but faces resistance from everyone except a bar owner with ties to her child. Now, as they grow closer, they must confront past mistakes and a potential romance. The movie comes in on the tomato meter at a 60%, and I think the audience is going to be a lot higher because at the heart of this is a love story, but it deals with rather intense subject matter because she comes out of prison for vehicular manslaughter, killing her fiance. So it's rough. It's a really difficult scenario. And at the heart of this, I thought it was going to be all about that initial romance of how they fell in love, because that's what the trailers really sold it as, right? But I gotta say, the standout is the acting here from Maika Monroe. And if you don't know who she is, she was in such other movies like Long Legs and It Follows. So she's done some rather interesting material in her past, and it was cool to see her kind of branch out. Tyreek Withers, you may have seen him in that I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. Not a great movie, but if you saw my review, I said that he was a standout. He's got some charisma on the screen. And then, of course, last year he was also in that horror movie with the Wayans brother there, that football cult kind of thing. And that one wasn't so good. But it's an interesting pairing here because I will admit they do have some chemistry, and it shows on screen. Now, I would say that Tyreek Withers here that doesn't have a whole lot of range to work with here. Like it's just kind of like, yeah, maybe he's just a token stud, but I bought into this. Now, that doesn't mean that this movie doesn't have its flaws. It does. Now, this is also from the author of It Ends With Us and Regretting You, which I both saw. I guess the least we talk about It Ends With Us, the better. But I did like Regretting You. I felt like that one was pretty good. And it's that kind of tone of kind of like, okay, there's some drama going on here with some very serious subject matter. Like, I mean, she killed her fiance in a car crash and uh, went to prison for it. And I like all of that aspect of her trying to put her life back together, right? Coming to town, trying to find a job, getting turned down, and then kind of like making friends with the friend that knew him, right? That stuff all worked. The stuff with the daughter, like not being able to see her. That's what's really gripping about this story, and how's it all going to come together. That being said, it does go on for a little bit too long. I felt like this movie could have benefited from an edit from Vanessa Caswell. It's an hour and 54 minutes, and I felt like this could have easily been an hour and 40, because there's some stuff in here where we feel like it's just dragging on a bit too long. It's like we know eventually that she's going to have to meet up with the grandparents that are now taking care of the daughter, but it's like, guys, we're an hour and a half into this, and is it going to wrap up too quick? And it does kind of wrap up a little too quick, but it's actually handled. That part is okay for me. It's just strokes of the brush here of like the execution of the story. And I feel like it's going to work for some and it won't work for others. But I think fans of these other two movies and maybe the author will like this movie. I found myself entertained by it. I didn't think that this was a terrible movie. With that being said, let's go over to my score sheet and start filling out some numbers for Reminders of Him. If you don't know how this works, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. So, acting, Maika Monroe, really good performance. Tyreek Withers, also really good performance. And the supporting cast overall is fairly well done. Is there anything Oscar worthy in here? Actually, there's a few scenes that uh, Micah has when she's explaining to him what happened that night of the accident that really works for me. There's some stuff that with the grandparents that don't really work with me because it felt a little too quick, and I fault the director for that. So let's talk about that. The directing, um, the technical aspects. It was well framed. It was well shot. The sound looked good. They used a lot of really cool B-roll shots of like the forest and roads to establish mood and tone. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The story uh, and its execution, as I said, there were some faults in there. I felt like it could have been cut down a little bit, but for the most part, I think it was fairly well executed, except for those minor story beats. Is this kind of like a Hallmark movie, but on a grander scale? Perhaps you could say that. Um, is there anything in here that I would have to say you got to check it out? You got to check it out. Well, I would say you got to check it out because of Maika Monroe, and I think Tyreek Withers is going to be proud to put this on his resume as well as saying, okay, this is what I can do. Um, but as I said, I feel like we're seeing the limits of his range. Maybe put him in an action movie or something. Put him in Extraction 3 with Chris Hemsworth or something. Like, I want to see something like that. That would be kind of cool. But anyway, I digress. The story, it just wraps up a little too conveniently. And when you realize that this is mostly just a love story between these two, maybe it works and I'll see it differently on a second viewing. But I reserve the right to come back to the story. I really do. So cinematography, it's as I said, there's some interesting shots in here. So I'll give the cinematography a full point. Score, it's serviceable. There's a few needle drops in here that may uh, catch people uh, by surprise and be like, okay, yeah. But let's go back to that tomato meter here and see what people are saying. The critics, at least. We don't have any audience scores yet. So 60%, hey? Movie Mom says, the story feels like Timu Nicholas Sparks. Timu? I don't know. No, no. Nicholas Sparks is a little too sentimental for me. This feels like a little bit more serious subject matter. But Monroe and Withers give strong performances, doing much more than the script to make it watchable, if pleasantly forgettable. Then, yeah, that just echoes what I said about the performances. So, another critic who didn't like it, it feels overly polished and determined to explain every feeling rather than letting the drama breathe. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the execution of the story, because there is some serious drama to be had about her trying to talk to the daughter, make the grandparents come around and let her do that. And all of that felt a little bit glazed over a little bit towards the end because we didn't have a whole lot of time. And it would have been nice to have seen some conversations of like them interacting a little bit more to give you a little bit more weight to the seriousness of the situation that they had set up. But and then, as I said, it's really more of a love story. It's not really like that's the backdrop to it, right? Let's see what the audience is saying. Kelly, great movie, excellent storyline and acting. Made me tear up at the end. Such a wholesome movie, and was very much like the book. So there's somebody who read the book and then saw the movie and was like, okay, so it sort of matched. We got some mixed reviews here. Say, I would say that the movie was okay. I can definitely tell that one of them need more acting experience. I'm guessing they're talking about Tyreek Withers there. The book was better, but the movie was good too. I felt like the buildup in the Ledger and Kenneth's story didn't happen way maybe in the book. I don't know. Again, people are really ragging on Tyreek Withers here as an actor, and I fully acknowledge that in my review here that he doesn't have the most range, but there's something about his on-screen presence that you are kind of sold on what he's doing. Now, there is that range to it. No doubt about that. He's got a limited range. But it's cool to see them trying to do this. And for what this movie is serving up, I bought it because he's like an ex football player. He's like from that machismo kind of cultural background where you don't really talk about your feelings all that much and stuff. But I know that some people maybe wanted to see more from him, like from that aspect. But uh, as I said, for me, it worked. let's go back to the score sheet here and wrap things up with the watchability factor that comes in 2 points. Um, if you have read the book and you are interested in the trailer, you'll want to check this out in the theater for sure. Is it worth a second watch, though? If you are into acting and you want to see what Maika Monroe does, yeah, I would say watch this on streaming. For sure, it's one of those movies would be like, yeah, you put this on a Sunday afternoon, you want to feel good by the end of it. Somebody who makes good, uh, I would say, yeah, but just be wary that it's got some serious downer beats in it. But all of that's handled fairly well by Maika Monroe. 7 out of 10. I think that's it for me for Reminders of Him. Tell me, what did you guys think about it in the comments below? And we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we also are going to be reviewing Undertone, the scariest movie you'll ever hear, right here on Your Domains.